right, we are going to talk about finding percents of numbers, and so we will start. So go ahead and write that down. We're going to deal with percents today. So I'm going to do a few that hopefully we can do in our head, and then I'll kind of do some that are harder. So if it says, what is 50% of 10? So 50%, if you make it 50% on a test, then you got half of the things correct. So if there were 10 questions, how many did you get correct? So it would be 5. So 50% of 10, you just split the 10 in half and it's 5. Okay. What is 50% of 40? Same thing. You just split it in half and it's going to be 20. Okay. Now, as we go down, what if things are a little harder? So what if we can't do them in our head? Oh, I think I took some out. What if it's not a simple percentage? You don't have to write that, but I'm just asking. What if it's not a simple 50%? 50% off is half off. So these are some things you need to write down. The word of is multiplication. That means multiplication. So write that. The word is going to be equal or equal sign. And I'll explain all this. It may be confusing right now. Whenever it says what number or what percent, that's the variable, okay, the x, y, z. We are going to make equations and solve the one-step equation. And you have to convert all percents into decimals. When it starts with a problem, if there's a percent, you have to change it to a decimal before we can do anything. Okay, so if I'm going too fast, remember, just pause. So you want to write this down. And I know this says number 5. It's because I took some things out. So this is really technically number 3, I guess. What is 32% of 64? So remember, I just want you to go right underneath. Remember we said of is multiplication. So I'm going to put the dot there. We said is the equal sign. We said what is our question. So that's our variable. Let's make it a y. 32%. Remember, we make 32%. Oops, push the button. 32% as a decimal. Remember, you divide by 100. So it would be 0.32. Or move the decimal 2 places to the left. So 0.32 of, and then you just bring down 64. So now we have y equals 0.32 times 64. So use your calculator. We don't have to do anything except for multiply. Since they're on the same side of the equal sign, we just solve it. So 0.32 times 64. So y is equal to 20.48. 20.48. And you always want to ask, does it make sense? So 32% is less than half. So your answer should be at least less than half of 64, which would be 32 is half. All right, so this is actually number 4. What is 56% of 32? So what is our question? So that's our variable. Let's make it an x this time. Is equals. Remember, this is going to become 0.56. Of is multiplication, 132. So since it's on this, they're on the same side of the equal sign, we just multiply, and you can use your calculator. 0.56 times 132. So this should be about half. It's a little bit more than half. So x equals 73.92. Half of 132 is 66, so it should be more than half. Okay, number 5. Sorry, I forgot to renumber these. So these will be a little different. So now it says 98% of, so that's multiplication. What number, so that's our variable, is 100. So and 98% as a decimal is 0.98. So 0.98 times y equals 100. So this goes back to one-step equations. So 0.98y equals 100. So remember, when you multiply, when it's a multiplication, you do the opposite, remember. So you're going to divide by 0.98. Divide both sides by 0.98. Those cancel. Y is equal to 100 divided by 0.98, which is, now this is a long number, but we'll just round it, 102.04. 102.04. So it says 98% of what number is 100? Okay, so 100 is 98% of 102. All right, next one, 62.3% of what number? So what number are we really on here? 6. Okay, so we need to move our decimal 2 places to the left. So 0.623 of, so that's multiplication. What number is 15? You can just bring them straight down. So again, it's just a one-step equation. 0.623x equals 15. So again, since we're multiplying here, we're going to end up dividing, and some people like to do it like this instead of the line. That's okay. Okay, so I don't know what 15 divided by 0.623 is. So you can use your calculator. We bring our x down. X equals 24.0. I'm going to say 0.8 because I'm going to round. I got that number because 24.077 is what the calculator says. So remember, we're going to look to the right, and it's going to round that up to an 8, 24.08. All right, these last two, we only have 2 more, are the last 2 kinds. There's just 3 different kinds of equations you're going to make here. Whoops, I went too far. Hello. Okay, 49 is equals what percent? So anytime you see the what, that's your question, of 54. So 49 is what percent? So n times 54. It's the same thing. Since it's being multiplied here, you're going to divide by 54. Remember, it matters which order. You always divide. You always move the number that's next to the variable. So this becomes n. So 49 divided by 54. So you're going to end up with 0.9074. Okay, but we need it to be a percent. So we have to change our decimal back to a percent. So remember, we're going to multiply it by 100 or move the decimal 2 places to the right. So it's 90.74%. It's okay that you have a decimal in there still. And does this make sense? If you took a quiz that had 54 questions on it and you got 49 correct, that's pretty good. You got most of them correct, so you should have a high score, like a 90.74. All right, last one. 24 is what percent of 456? So again, it's just a one-step equation. If it bothers you to have the y on the left of the multiplication, you can change that like this. It's the same because you're multiplying. So since you're multiplying, we need to divide by 456. This is going to be a pretty small number. 24, oops, I put it in wrong. 24 divided by 456 is 0.0526. I'm going to round it off there. All right. Now remember, you have to make it into a percent. It's a decimal right now. So then we move it 2 places to the right. So it's 5.26%. Make sure you leave the percent on there, which makes sense that it's a pretty small number, because if you have a test with 456 problems and you only got 24 right, then you did not make a very good score. So it would make sense that the percent is smaller.